Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to High Vibin' It, and you are here with your girl, Kelsey Aida, and also your other girl, Lindsay Robinson, and a third girl joining us, Miss Sloane Elizabeth, and she's a food freedom expert, which is exciting because we haven't talked a lot about food on the show, and we really want to bring empowerment to this space because it's all about how you eat the food and the intention behind making the food and purchasing the food and putting it in your body and maybe alchemizing. And basically, we want to teach you guys and help you guys to have more freedom around your food so you're not living in guilt, shame, fear. And we're going to make the whole eating experience high vibrational and like teach you how to eat more intuitively and more empowered, I guess. Would you say that's what we're doing today, Sloane?
Yes, you
Okay,
summed it up beautifully. Thank you.
great. Well,
I love this topic because we talk about meditation, we talk about healthy living and working out, but those are things you could do or not do. But I mean, you're going to have breakfast, some
everybody
people
eats.
don't, but you're going to eat. And so why not use something you're already doing and add more empowerment and spiritual stuff to it? I just think it's so fun.
Totally.
Thank you.
And that's why I always say that food freedom is something that you do not want to ignore. It is so important because, just as you said, Lindsay, you will be eating probably around 3 times a day for the rest of your life. And if you are scared, anxious, feeling guilty, or ashamed every time you eat, that's a lot of compounding lower vibrational energy, and chronic stress is the number one cause of illness these days. And so if you are feeling that stress around 3 times a day for the rest of your life, that's something that you're going to want to look at.
Yeah, especially because everyone that listens to our show is into personal development, self-empowerment. How can I optimize my life? How can I feel even better more of the time? And food plays a huge role in that. So, Sloane, if you could kind of introduce to us how you got into this work and exactly what you help people to do, I think that'll be a good way to kick off the conversation, and then we can go into some tips and tricks and practices and all that.
Totally. Yeah, love it. So my name is Sloane Elizabeth, and I am a food freedom expert, coach, author, podcaster, workshop leader, all the things. And essentially, I help women break free from diet culture, diet trends, diet mentality that, encompasses a lot of fear, anxiety, shame, guilt, so that they can find lasting food freedom. And I do this with a combination of gentle nutrition as well as manifestation and spirituality and deep subconscious healing. And I find that those two practices together are what make my programs really unique and honestly last. Because if you're just looking for 5 tips for a healthy relationship with food, or you're looking for a meal plan or a workout plan, it's all Band-Aid solutions. And ultimately, it's really not about the food. It is about your vibe, and it's about the deeper wounds that are there around control and fear and anxiety and self-worth. And so we do that first. I kind of call it like inside out healing. And a lot of times in my sessions, we don't even talk about the food for an entire 60 minutes, but it all plays into each other because it's all just energy. And so I got into this work because I struggled with body image myself, and I was, generally healthy growing up, but I also was in the performing arts world and cheerleading. And so bodies were scrutinized, and, it felt like your physical appearance was really important for those extracurricular activities. And so I was really confident. And then all of a sudden I was really not confident. And I felt like I was gaining weight. I felt like I all of a sudden didn't know how to eat. And so I started restricting myself in small ways, like limiting the number of white carbs, or, asking my mom to make me sandwiches on rice cakes instead of bread all of a sudden, and telling myself that I could only have dessert twice a week, which I failed at every single week because I was obsessed with chocolate. Who isn't? And so when I went to college, I kind of saved myself from an eating disorder. Honestly, I recognized what was happening, and I have always been like a math and science kind of girl. So I was pre-med, and I wanted to really figure out what nutrition actually should look like, what's actually true, why do people love veganism and paleo and keto when they're all so different? Like, how is that possible? And then I also got really into my own spirituality, the intuitive work that I do. I became a yoga teacher. And so it was really the combination of my science, biology background with my spirituality that empowered me to have total food freedom, and that trickled into life freedom and manifesting other amazing things. And so I had my food Instagram for a really long time, and it was kind of just general health and wellness. And I wanted to really focus in on one thing that I knew I could and was an expert in. And it just made so much sense to teach other women how to find this level of freedom as well. So that's what I do.
Love it. That's awesome. Thank you for telling your story. And it's cool how, like, all these seemingly random pieces of your life fit together perfectly to help you teach this from your unique perspective and experience. Because really, how we do one thing is how we do everything, right? So, our relationship with food is probably the same as similar to our relationship with money or our parents or our bodies or ourselves. And it's like, life is just how are you relating to everything and everyone. And when you can master your relationships, that's when you can really elevate your life and have like total freedom and fulfillment, etc. So I'm glad that we're talking about food today, because we really haven't explored this angle too much. So I guess my first thing that I want to dive into with you is, how would you recommend that people get started when they're wanting to improve their relationship with food? Like, what's the direction that you kind of guide them in the beginning?
Great question. So it really has to start from those initial trigger points. So essentially, I work with people who are pre-eating disorder, like they're kind of on that orthorexia path, perhaps, just with a lot of rules and fears, or people who have already been through eating disorder recovery, like the traditional route, but their mental health has kind of been ignored, which is unfortunately what happens a lot of times. And so even for people that feel like they don't have an eating disorder anymore, I encourage them to go back to those initial pain points and those initial triggers, which feels heavy and it feels difficult, which is why working in a program or with a coach is like so important, so that you are actually guided in that process. But it has to first start with where you relate to control and anxiety and fear. And you're so right about how it all relates, Kelsey, because when you look at how you control your food, you're also going to look at how you control your relationships or money or your career or school, friendships, etc. And so that's the first step. A lot of times people don't want to hear that. They want to hear, oh, you should just, eat this way. You should just follow this meal plan, or you should just eat the cookie. Just try eating the cookie. But if you eat the cookie and you force yourself to eat the cookie, you're still going to have fear. You're still going to have the guilt and the shame. So we actually don't look at food first. We look at control and the deeper wounds that likely originated from childhood, when your subconscious mind is being developed until, the age of 7 or so. So that's where I encourage people to start. And a lot of times there is a lot of like self-judgment for even having those thoughts and feelings and feeling frustrated, like, how did I get here? Why am I still here? So we need to do a lot of forgiveness work in the beginning, or else you just can't move forward.
Yeah, I mean, this really plays into the whole self-love conversation, because that, to me, a big part of self-love is releasing judgment of yourself and replacing it with compassionate understanding. And that ultimately leads to forgiveness really easily, because you can't just say, oh, I need to forgive myself, so I'm going to force myself to forgive myself. Like, forgiveness is not something that can be forced, right? It has to be inspired from understanding. So like, when you understand why your dog like pooped on the carpet, then you can forgive them, right? Or like whatever it is. So I think that's really beautiful that it all ties into the whole self-love spiel, because that's like really my thing that I really love to teach. That seemingly has nothing to do with food, but today it does, because the things that you put into your body, it's either something that's beneficial or detrimental as far as the food goes, but also as far as the way you're thinking about the food. Like, I eat a lot of mac and cheese in my life, and most people would say mac and cheese is super unhealthy, but when I eat it, I feel that it's nourishing my soul. I feel that I'm not restricting what I'm eating. I feel that I'm treating myself to something that's great. And obviously I don't eat that 24/7 all the time because it's not sustainable or beneficial to that extent. But it's like I have this healthy relationship with food where I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, because most of the time I feel that I want to eat something really good, really beneficial, really nutritional. And sometimes I want to eat my mac and cheese and I don't feel guilty about it because I just have released judgment from myself. I'm not playing in that space anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Totally. And I love that you said nourishing to your soul, because there are foods that are more nutritionally dense. Like, that is a fact. But I really encourage my clients to let go of labels. So we don't use healthy, we don't use unhealthy, clean, or my least favorite word is indulge or indulgent. I hate that word. But I love the word nourishing, because broccoli can be really nourishing to your body on a physical cellular level, which is super important because we only get one body. This is our vessel. It is important to take care of it and to eat fruits and vegetables. But there are going to be some foods or situations that are going to be nourishing to your mental well-being, helping you to feel empowered without stress, without guilt. And then there are things that will nourish your soul. And as you said, it's not a 24/7 thing, because if you're really in the mood for Oreos, and you know that that is going to nourish you on all levels in that moment, you eat the Oreos and they are nourishing. But if you are, with your friends and everyone's eating Oreos and you're not really in the mood, but you just kind of start munching on them, they're not going to taste that good, first of all.
True.
And in that moment, they're not nourishing for you. So it's less about the actual food and more about the energy and the situation and your body in that unique moment.
It's so funny. That's like my go-to snack before bed. I have like 6 Oreos. I dip them in milk, and that's what I eat before bed, like every night, because it's my celebration that my kids are asleep and I don't have to do anything else but watch TV and eat these damn Oreos, and they're delicious. Like, I love it. I love it. I love that you said Oreos, because that literally is my thing. That's my thing.
People are going to be so surprised when they listen to this. Like, Lindsay eats Oreos, Kelsey eats mac and cheese. Like, I thought they were so high vibe. And first of all, if you're having that judgment in your mind, I want to encourage you to ask yourself, like, are you being high vibe when you have those thoughts?
And that's what this is about. Like, look at your preconceived notions about what food means and how it relates to our bodies. And I learned a long time ago, because I love that you talked about the subconscious, because that's like my jam. I'm a hypnotherapist, and so that's what I do. And so we learned that, like, when we're doing weight control, I never say weight loss, because when you lose something, you find it again. But I say weight control, take back control if you want. When we're studying that, we learn that energetically, your intention behind whatever you're eating will have a slight physiological difference in how it affects your body. So when I'm eating anything that I might initially be like, you know what? I love myself enough to give myself a treat and to, like, just enjoy this food. And Kelsey, before we started recording, we'll talk about this too, says a prayer sometime, like, with her food. And I think that that's so important too. Fluoride in water is a big thing for me. I don't like it. It's a huge, big red flag for me. I just don't like it. A little bit of Googling will tell you why, but anytime I have to drink it, I say a little prayer, and, like, only the good stuff is going to enter my body and nourish me and saturate my cells and all that thing. And anything else will be eliminated, no matter what it is. And I think that's a great thing to do, whether you're eating or drinking any point in the day. Anyway, tangent, but Kelsey said it, and so I had to be like, yes, girl.
Yeah.
True.
I love that. And I don't say a prayer exactly for me personally, but I just love cooking. And so when I'm grocery shopping, when I'm cooking, when I'm eating, I just see everything in such abundance. I'm really into abundance thinking as opposed to lack thinking. And so that's something that I teach my clients. And especially with, like, fresh, bright fruits and vegetables, but fruit in particular, it just feels so magical to me. And I know that some people like think that I'm crazy when I say that, but just like a big bowl of fruit, like there's not much more on this earth that is so abundant in my view. And it is just so vibrant. It's so like fresh, the smells, the colors, it really exhilarates all of your senses. And so in that moment, I'm just so flooded with gratitude that I'm able to enjoy this abundance. And so that's something that you can kind of start with if you're like, I don't really know how to like say a prayer over my food,
Yeah.
or that feels maybe religious for some people, just
Intentions.
appreciating.
Say an intention, an affirmation.
Totally.
How about that? That's more palatable.
Love it. Yeah, exactly. So setting an intention, like you said, Lindsay, like only the things that are for my highest good will be absorbed, or I'm so grateful for this nourishment, or just a small thank you infuses an abundant energy into your food, which then is going to be ingested and become a part of you. I mean,
Okay, I have something important. So
yes.
you mentioned, okay, just as you mentioned this abundance mindset when you're cooking and you love cooking, I cannot relate. Okay, cooking is like the worst thing in my entire existence. And I know that's I never occurred to me before. Like I know intention is I know that, but for some reason it's a blind spot when it comes to cooking. And there's a lot of reasons for it. Most of the time we're running out of, like, I have 3 boys, okay? Most of the time it's like last minute, we're rushing, I'm stressed out. I don't like it. I'm not good with recipes. I don't like following recipes. I'm a baker. I love baking. I
Okay.
like making pies and cookies and muffins and all that yummy stuff. But cooking a meal, no. So, and also the kids don't even eat it. If I spend an hour making dinner, they're like, nope, don't want it. Sorry, give me a hot dog. So there's a lot of reasons why I have such a hate, dislike, sometimes love relationship with food. So what do you tell, like, what do you say to people? How do you bring them from like this? It is very stressful. I get stressed out. Like I know going into it, I'm going to, which is also an affirmation, but like, how do you begin to rewrite and redo some of that stuff?
Totally. So I would say there's 2 parts. There is the rewriting, as you said, and the affirmations and looking at your beliefs, and then really looking at, okay, what's actually true here. And then there's the tactical tips. So to start with the beliefs, I would first kind of look at and do a brain dump and think, okay, why do I hate cooking so much? What do I believe to be true? I believe that it will be stressful. I believe that my kids won't even eat it. It will be a waste of time. It's not going to turn out good. I'm not good at it. And those are all fear-based beliefs and thoughts. And so I love referring to your higher self, or what I call the glowing goddess version of you. And so I take all of my clients through a couple meditations to introduce them to their glowing goddess self, this version of you that is just
I'm pretty sure she hates cooking too. I'm just going to say.
Perhaps. That's totally okay.
She's
Totally
like,
okay.
nope, I agree with this one.
Okay, so we can work with that. So then I would say, okay, looking at those truths, inviting your higher self in, what's actually true here? And maybe for you, if your higher self is also like, no, this just doesn't light me up. Okay, that's where we get into tactical ways of infusing more love into the cooking, because cooking doesn't have to be stressful.
Right.
There are ways around it. And so that's the belief side of it first. So we do this a lot with people who feel like, I just can't have ice cream in the house. I'm not capable of it without eating the entire pint. Well, that's not actually true. Like, as a soul, as your essence, that's not actually a truth for you. That's a fear. And so we come up with really powerful love, heart-centered affirmations that are true. So the truth is, I'm totally capable of having delicious food in my house and eating what I want, right? Making it simple. Then, especially for cooking, because I do have clients who don't like to cook, I would recommend a few different things. So perhaps for you, maybe you get some, like, I know it depends on your budget, but like there are chefs that can come and meal prep for you.
That's actually
right?
one of my, it's on my vision board.
Okay,
like,
I love that.
It's that big of a thing for me. Like,
Yeah.
if I could have a maid or a cook, bring the cook. I'll clean, bring the cook. I can't do it.
Totally. So that actually might be something that's really worth it to you energetically, as a financial exchange, like that is important to you. It also could be like, I do teach my clients how to meal prep in the it's a non-traditional way of meal prepping, because I don't like the whole, okay, I'm going to make one meal times 5 portions and eat that as my lunch this week, because how the heck can you know what you're going to want on Wednesday at noon when you're cooking on Sunday night? Like, there's just no way. So I teach my clients to make components, essentially. So I would say make a pot of rice or quinoa, like some sort of grain, maybe some potatoes or squash, like another starchy carb, like 2 trays of vegetables, depends how many people you're cooking for. Use, like really basic seasonings like salt, pepper, and garlic. I feel like I put garlic in everything, so that's like the baseline for me. Some protein of choice, whatever it is, maybe even chop up raw veggies, you can chop up your fruit, whatever, and just try to make those 2 hours, maybe an hour, as fun and high vibe as possible. So put on a podcast you love while you're doing that prep. Put on songs that are like your dance party songs. Put on an audiobook, FaceTime a friend, things that you would do to make the experience more abundant, more fun, more high vibe. And then you have these components, and you can create a million different things with those components by adding seasonings and sauces. So for example, you have maybe the components for like tacos or a taco bowl, and maybe you just heat everything up, you add some beans, and you add your salsa and guac and just some, seasonings to it. You could use those ingredients and cook up some shrimp and make like a shrimp stir fry. I do that all the time. And just add your soy sauce or whatever other seasonings. You could also do pasta. So maybe you decide to make a fresh pot of pasta that takes like 20 minutes, right? But you already have vegetables and protein that you can add with the sauce. So feeling empowered to prepare meals without stress during the week is really important, so that you're able to enjoy time with your family, because that's what you enjoy more, and that's what's more important to you than slaving over the stove. So basically preparing those components with really basic, like kind of like bland, I guess, seasonings, and then just having a little bit of fun, a little bit of experimenting to make something new is how you can just put together a meal really quickly when mealtime does come.
Hey there, thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to watch the extended version where you get the full podcast episode in a video format, just go to patreon.com/high vibe. The link is in the description. That's where you can become a supporter of the show, listen to all the episodes via video format, and each week you get extended versions of the show, meaning you get to see the pregame behind the scenes, and also you get an extended interview with whoever we're guesting, or if it's me and Lindsay, we usually pull cards for you guys, fun stuff like that. So go check it out. There's lots of cool goodies, including a free copy of my book, a free audio hypnosis from Lindsay. She's a hypnotherapist. And yeah, we just want to give you all the goods, all the content. So head over to patreon.com/high vibe to become a Patreon.
Or if you'd rather listen to the rest of this episode, head over to highvibinit.com, where you'll see all the links to everywhere that it's getting streamed. Click your favorite one and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening.